So in the first lecture about the colonic adenocarcinomas, we were talking about the dysplasias and what the dysplasia is in the colonic mucosa. And the dysplasia is the first morphologic changes that we can see when the cells take their route to malignancy. Okay, so the dysplasia by itself is not a malignancy yet, but it's indicative that the cell is going to be malignant at some point in time. Okay, so in order to understand the significance of the colonic dysplasia, we need to talk about the colonic polyps, okay, which are bread and butter pathology, okay, and something that we work with every single day. So in order to understand the colonic colonic polyps, we need to talk about the colonic mucosa first, which is shown on figure 1. Okay, so the colonic mucosa basically consists of enterocytes which sit on top of a glandular basal membrane, and it makes these crypts and undulations. Under the mucosa, indicated in red, is a small tiny muscle which is called muscularis mucosa. So the crypts and the glands and everything is embedded into a stroma, which usually contains a little bit of inflammation, which is indicated in green. So the muscularis mucosa, that tiny muscle, when it contracts, it's going to make the mucosa more undulating, and when that happens, that increases the transition time, which means that the passage of stool will be delayed and the resorption will be enhanced. On the other hand, when the muscle kind of relaxes, the mucosa is going to become more flat, and then the passage of stool will be faster with a less resorption. Okay, so this is basically when you biopsy the colonic mucosa, this is what we look at. So now we have a couple of types of polyps that we need to mention. The most common one, the first one, is the hyperplastic polyp, which is indicated by HP. So these are basically reactive regenerative changes, and the way it looks on the microscope is simply the glands are kind of serrated, reactive looking. Then we have the two polyps, which are the vastly more common. Okay, so this is the tubular adenoma, which is on a stalk. Okay, so it's hanging actually in the colon, and by definition it's a low-grade dysplasia polyp. So we know that colonic adenocarcinomas originate from this polyp, so removing this polyp removes the chance of ever becoming a carcinoma. And alternatively, we have a similar low-grade dysplasia polyp, which is with a no stalk, is simply flat. These are the ones we call a villus adenomas. And as you can see, it's much easier to cure the tubular adenomas by simply transecting the stalk versus villus adenoma, which you have to do a mucosal resection. You have to wedge it out if possible.